And we are back on Open Line. Chuck Long here with Clint Kelly from the Kelly Firm. We are talking about medical malpractice, dental malpractice for the entire hour. A lot of you have been calling in. I know questions. This is the place to ask them. This is where whether you have a comment or a question, we're glad you're calling in. We're going back to the lines right now. Kevin, thanks for your patience. Do you have a question or a comment for Clint?
Well, I have a question, and it's a little complicated because mine involved a work injury. And this happened April 8th of 2013. I fell off of a loading dock and landed on my elbow and hit the corner of a dumpster. And so after about 6 months of therapy, I finally went to a bone doctor, and he said that I probably was going to need surgery. And I found out that I had carpal tunnel as well, so I had surgery 6 months after that, and after that surgery it didn't seem to go very well. I still had some pain, and I had some more symptoms. My hand would turn blue, turn cold, and then hot at the next moment. And I told my doctor about that, and he said that must all be in your head because the surgeries were done correctly. And then a year after my first surgery, I had another surgery where he went in, he did a epicondylectomy where he took out some bone, and then he finally decided to move the ulnar nerve over. Well, after that, the pain hasn't gone away since. And then I learned that I have a condition called CRPS. And what I was wondering if I could still do anything for that, because a friend of mine I was talking to said that if I had shown symptoms of CRPS prior to the second surgery, it shouldn't have been done. And that never crossed my mind until I just came upon this information.
The answer, Kevin, is I don't know. I don't know if the fact that your epicondyle was worked on in, by my notes, it would be April 2015. I don't know if that was an appropriate procedure to do or medically unnecessary. I can tell you that when a doctor tells you it's all in your head, that's time to go see another doctor. I mean, immediately. A lot of people call the show and they run into situations like this and either don't know, or maybe it's because of their insurance, but don't get a second opinion and really need to get a second opinion because I never tolerate a doctor telling me something's in my head, particularly my hand's swelling and I've got symptoms. But the answer, Kevin, is I just don't know. If you want to call my office and give Pat some information, I'd be glad to get back to you or let you know what I think about that. But I'd have to check with a hand specialist to try to find out about that.
Okay, I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for calling in, Kevin. All right, we're going back to the lines. We don't have a lot of time left, but we do want to get to as many calls as we can in the remainder part of the show. So David is with us. David, do you have a question or comment for Clint?
Yeah, Mr. Kelly, I've got a problem, and I wanted to ask y'all about it. I have a real bad thyroid problem where if I walk down the hall, it takes all the energy out of me. Okay, my dad died, my mom died of cancer. Just say, for instance, I died of cancer and everything. Where do they draw the line between, something happened? Where does if something came along and it was malpractice, where do they draw the line as far as that goes? And I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Thank you.
Well, Dave, before you hang up, are you talking about if something happens to you? So that's what I was trying to figure out if he were misdiagnosed.
I think David did hang up.
Yeah, he had his family history of cancer, and he's having thyroid problems. And the question is, I'm thinking perhaps is he been misdiagnosed? Does he actually have cancer? If I were David, I'd make sure I got if I wasn't satisfied with the first medical opinion, I'd make sure I got a second medical opinion to make sure that I'm not having cancer, because that's clearly, if you're misdiagnosed, you could perhaps have a claim.
Right, okay, well, that is good to know. Let's talk a little bit about, too, kind of the situation now that you're faced with, if you do even have a case like this. But our legislator, it's somewhat probably one of the more hostile times that we've seen in recent history. So kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah, it is. It is the most hostile. And right now, we have laws on the books that really started in 2010, and it's been progressive, at least through those 6 years or so. they have made it much more difficult to file a medical negligence lawsuit. You've heard me say, bring a claim against the doctor or give notice to the doctor. It's called pre-suit notice. It's a very specific, highly procedural thing that has to be done. The rules are very specific, and if they're not followed to the letter, your case can be dismissed and you never get a chance to bring it back. Legislature also requires every claim to be brought with a certificate of good faith, meaning that the lawyer has an expert who's reviewed the claim, has signed on to it, and has agreed to testify if in fact the case goes forward to trial. And the reason why it's so important to hire someone like me, a medical malpractice specialist, we know the laws. We know where the procedural requirements are, we know the substantive requirements, and we know how to navigate through these laws to get our clients' cases to court. Most attorneys have no idea what these laws are or don't know how to follow them, and in some cases have had their own clients' lawsuits dismissed because they didn't follow the law properly. And that was the design of the legislature, was
right.
to make the number of these cases go down considerably, reduce the number of lawyers who could bring the claims so that the insurance companies could have their profits go up. I mean, it's real simple.
That's why it's also very important to talk to your firm, because you are the specialist
Correct.
in this area. So we have just a few minutes left. We want to get to a couple more calls. Sue, thanks for your patience. Do you have a question or a comment for Clint?
Well, kind of combination.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Seeing a doctor for 12 to 13 years, pain management doctor. And it first started out as him, and now it's grown into a large group of doctors. And many things he said to me and done, such as he wants to cut scripts back first because of insurance, and I questioned that, and it wasn't the insurance, it was him. Multiple times like that, and it just him then saying that he had gone to some school where he was, I forget what, an addictionologist or something like that. And I asked him, I said, "Are you saying I'm addicted?" And he said, "No." But this doctor has now opened another pharmacy that he opens, and he wants us all to go there, and gets upset when we don't. And he was doing a radial freeze on me and used lidocaine, and I was in major pain, and he got mad because he said I shouldn't be hurting. I just want to know if a doctor like this can be investigated.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you saw the 60 Minutes, and maybe you did, Sue, the 60 Minutes story they did a few months ago about the pain management clinics run amok in West Virginia. I mean, they were basically just, pill pushers with a medical license. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happened to you, Sue, but I am saying this: if the doctor isn't treating you properly, is telling you to go to a specific pharmacy to get his prescriptions filled, and I'm assuming these are narcotic prescriptions, it raises a red flag. And if the doctor's not treating you properly, I would say on the one hand, go get a second medical opinion. In fact, I'd say that anyway. But if you believe that this clinic's not being managed properly, that perhaps there's some kickbacks that are taking place, perhaps the prescriptions aren't being done properly, you can absolutely have them investigated. In fact, the DEA, the Department of Health, they will be more than happy to talk to you and get information from you, because that's in their realm of expertise, is investigating those types of clinics and doctors.
Okay, well, that is good to know. So, Sue, thank you for calling in, and that's good advice, so we really appreciate it. We are going to have to wrap it up, but when we come back, we are going to give you the information. I know a lot of you have been calling tonight and want to know how to get in touch with Clint Kelly at the Kelly firm. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we will give you that information, because, as you said, Clint, the most important thing to do is, if people have questions, is to give a call. So we'll take a short break right now, and we'll be right back with that information for you as we wrap up the show, so come on back with us.